Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and Brad and I are continuing our top 100 games of all time. This is in the middle of the first segment with 70 through 61, which is always interesting because I feel like this is where most of the new games jump in, like the top 50, so 50 through 100. That feels like where newer games are going to kind of land, and then it speaks volumes when a new game is like really high up, but they usually make the hardest fall as well. So speaking of new games, I have two new games on this list. 4, 6, 8. Yep, two new games, and 4 fell and 4 rose. So good split there.
I have 0 new games. I have 5 rose, 5 fell.
Oh wow, okay. It'd be really cool if it alternated.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, lame. Well, yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Which is actually interesting on this very first one at number 70, which was 115 last year. So it rose 45 spots, and in 2020 it was 71. So I don't know what caused it to fall. Maybe I was just giving it a little harder shake because I hadn't played it much last year, and I haven't played it much this year. But maybe I was like, I think we're going to do our top 10 worker placement games at some point, and that's what made me think of this game. As it's extremely unique, very beautifully produced, and that is Gugong, which I actually have the deluxe Velcro edition. It's super sexy and extremely well organized. But Gugong, at its core, is a worker placement game, just not with meeples. You actually use gifts as your worker. It's completely unique. I haven't seen it done anywhere else. But yeah, the theme of this is that to do various actions throughout the board, you have a hand of cards, or you have various cards that you can choose from. And to do the action, you have to replace it with a gift that's a higher value. And then I think it goes up to 9, and then 9 can be turned around for 1. That's kind of how it cycles. So it's not like it's locked up once the highest card is there. So those actions are also specialized, like based off, where you want to go. Like you can get bonuses if you take a particular gift to a particular location. But this is kind of your standard worker placement. Like there's a travel track up at the top that you can move around. I think it's China. You can go up on that middle track. That's where you kind of want to meet the emperor. That's actually the only hard rule, is you have to get your meeple up to the top, and you get points for the first one there. But if you do not, then you actually don't score at all. At some point in the game, you have to at least do that part. It's not too hard. Like if you want to make that your sole focus, by all means, get it done with, and then you can play the rest of the game. But it has a lot of those where you get special tiles to get victory points, and in scoring objectives, you get points for building the Great Wall. There's just a lot that goes on here. There's a few expansions for it as well, but I just really think that this stands above a lot of other worker placement games because of that card mechanism. I think it's super simple, but completely unique. So yeah, that's again, don't know why it rose 45 spots. It's not like I'm playing this every day. But yeah, it's extremely solid, and it's still in my collection. So that's why it's at number 70.
Yeah, I've never played this one at all.
I think you would really like it. I think there's a solo mode for it. I have played one of the expansions though. I think because it's like a modular expansion. Yeah, it says 1 to 5.
Yeah.
And this is also not a high scoring game either. At least every time I've played it, it's relatively small. And Cat actually does. Yeah, it's probably my scores. It's like, yeah, this isn't high scoring. Like I think top is like 10. It's like, yeah, dude, we're getting 80.
All right. Yeah, that's a good one. I'll try at some point. All right, so going from a game of that stature to a more of a dice chucker Ameritrash style game. This one was 85 last year, so it jumped up 15 spots. Prior to that, it was like in the 50s. So it kind of, I think it went down because I hadn't gotten played. And I think it was last year or right around the turn of the year we played it. I showed it to you and we played it. And then I started playing it solo again. So that's why I think it bounced back up.
Real quick, before you show it.
Yeah.
So you showed it to me. Had I played it prior to that?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Did I like it?
No.
Okay.
I can tell you that flat out. Yeah. So, and that is Run Fight or Die.
It's that's fair.
Yeah, this one I really like because I got it on the Kickstarter when this first came out, and what dialed me in on this game is it's from Richard Lanius. So I generally trust a lot of the stuff that he makes. I mean, he hits more than not on his stuff. And this one pretty much it comes with a pile of plastic zombies, and you pretty much are rolling dice like in a King of Tokyo manner. They got the Yahtzee mechanic, and the different symbols can do different things. There's also a lighter shade dice that's kind of like the environment dice or whatever they want. I can't remember what they call it exactly, but it kind of does something each turn whenever you roll at that one time. Whether it may be good, it may add more zombies, it may do whatever. But what's cool about this game, for such a simple game, they catch the theme with it more than what most games like this can, because there's those different zones that the zombies are in, and they're constantly moving towards your character there at the bottom. And depending on what you roll, you can spin those dice to kill them. So like in the first zone, a bat or a gun will kill them. But if you spin the run symbol, then they just fall back to the next zone. So it's like you're running away. So it's that's the theme part of it. So it's like those ones in zone 3, if you spin the little running symbol, then they just kind of go off the board, and it's like you outran them, and stuff like that. And every player, it comes with a bunch of different characters, and everyone has like an ultimate, which is kind of a push your luck because most of them deal with a lot of the zombie symbols. So you're kind of really pushing it to see if you can get your ultimate bonus. But all the while you're finding followers, which are kind of what you need to get to win the game. I mean, those are your victory points. And you're trying to find the escape at the end. There's also a zombie mutant boss that'll pop up every now and again that the whole group has to fight semi-cooperatively to kind of help each other out and try to get rid of it. Locations do different stuff. There's just a lot like loot, all this cool stuff with this game. What I really, really like about this game, though, is what they do with the followers that you save, because every one of them has a special ability of some sort. If it's a really low number, like that spunky mom that's there, like your ability is good, because it's not worth very many points, but it's a good ability. But then there's some really nice ones, like there's the screaming cheerleader. She's worth like 6 or 7 points, but she's constantly screaming, so more and more zombies just keep piling up on your board. So it's like they've balanced it really neat as far as that goes with that stuff, and it's super fun to play solo. So when it's not,
I can see that.
So yeah. I mean,
I mean, like everything you say about it makes it seem like it's a good game, but no, but I just hate the fact that this is competitive. Like, it seems like it'd be a lot more fun, just kind of like a quick roll dice to see who all survives if it was cooperative.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I think that's why solo, I like it so much, just because you are just doing that. You're just playing it out and seeing what happens. So
that makes sense.
And they came out with a second edition called Reloaded.
Yeah.
And the art and all the vibrant colored minis and all that crap, just if you're gonna get it, find the copy like this, because this is better overall.
Right. Yeah, did they change anything with Reloaded?
I think they did a couple of rule changes, but I mean, it's not,
man, almost 5 years later.
It's not that serious of a game to really have. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with this one. I just don't like the style that they changed it and all the weird stuff, so yeah, I mean, this one is a fun one, and we didn't play with some of the modes because there's actually I think 4 or 5 different zombie types. We just played with the walkers, but
Right.
there's some of them that are like crawlers that don't have a bottom half of their body that move. There's some runners that move faster. I mean, so it kind of changes
hmm
up your strategy a little bit. But
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, zombies just don't really do it for me. They were so overdone. I just never got into that whole genre.
mhm,
Um, and so it's like I have like one zombie game, and that's Dead of Winter, and it's like I don't even play that all the time.
yeah,
So I don't know. All right. My number 69 hey, was 67 last year, so it only fell 2 spots, and it was 31 in 2020. This is a game that I showed you that you do like. So you can tell who has the better taste in games here because but you won't ever own this just because solo mode I would probably be absolutely miserable. But this is a frantic, kind of like a frantic theme, but this is cooperative and it's a real-time game that is just a blast to play, and that is
yeah.
Project Elite. Artipia Games was the first one that made that. Then Simon got a hold of the rights and produced it. Weirdly enough, though, it didn't do like they didn't do their Simonness, where it was like, just over the top and just, 900 miniatures and, 30 boxes. And this is one of the games I wish they did. Like, it's like I want more content for this, but who knows, with the development hell that this game went through. Uh, so yeah, but this is one of those bite-sized real-time games in the sense that the whole game is not real-time. It's a very specific section, and it's only like a couple minutes. And once that's done, then it goes into, step by step where you just kind of resolve out the events and basically talk it out, strategize, get set up, do the spawning phase of like hordes of enemies, and then you're like, okay, everyone ready? And then boom, you go, and then you just start going in and you just start mowing down mobs. Really, this is a tower defense game that just really makes you feel like you're out in the field just gunning down hordes of enemies, and quarterbacking is not even a thought in this game. I'd probably punch the guy. That would be one of my quick actions. I would just hit the guy across the table if he was that anal about trying to control everyone during the real time phase. Um, it's just so quick to manage. Like, it seems like there's a lot. It's not the most streamlined game in the world, but for this kind of game, it works really well. Uh, I think I'm pretty sure I have all the expansions. Last time I played this game, I actually used like the big mech suit
Uh-huh.
expansion where it's like they don't have any weapon, like you can't get loot or anything with them. They have their, assigned guns, and they have a really powerful ability, but a really powerful negative like consequence for them. That was really cool too. Like I think my character was using a rail gun and he could just fire it off and just kill everything in like a beam. It's like, all right, well, all those guys are gone. Like, move them out of the way. It's it's so much fun. But yeah, I think there's not a whole lot of maps for it, which I wish there was. I know this board is double-sided. This one is just kind of defend your lab, and then the other one is your crashed ship. So you're like in the center and things can swarm in on you from there. Uh, and then I think there's I'm pretty sure there's like one more double-sided map. It's like a spaceship, the alien spaceship, and then like a desert area with like the sand maw, which I haven't tried, but yeah, like if you're looking for an awesome real-time game that is hordes of enemies, that is frantic but still super fun, I highly recommend this one.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun playing this one. It's just like you said, there's just no way to doing this solo would just
It
be,
technically does have one. I'm pretty sure it's you run
yeah,
2 people.
yeah, and it would just be kind of crazy.
hmm
But yeah, I had fun when we played it.
Yeah, maybe I'll try the solo mode one day and let you know if it's
Yeah,
any good or not. I can't imagine it would be.
I wouldn't expect it to
Let's
be
see.
either, but you never know.
Project Delete. Let me look it up. Let me
It
see.
never comes up on any like solo.
No, okay, so
Yeah,
it's
so it's not
70%
like,
say not recommended.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, people are saying it's best with 4. I've enjoyed it at every player count, honestly. Like, this is one of those few games that it works, well at 2. 3 and 4.
Yeah, I think we played it with 3 when we played it that
Mhm.
time.
Yeah, and last time I played it was with 2,
Yeah.
and he was really into it as well. It's super fun. So yeah, that's my number 69, Project Elite.
All right. Well, my number 69 is a game that has risen 25 spots. It was
Nice.
94 last year. And then it was in its 50s prior to that. So I think it's just kind of gotten played a little bit,
Mhm.
aspect. And this is one of those games that I always overlooked back when it first came out, because I wasn't into that style of game at that point. And then I've kind of gotten more into the whole Euros and stuff like that. So then I bought the big box for this game to get all the expansions and everything in one box. And that is
Mm,
Istanbul.
nice.
Um, this is just one of those ones, like I said, it doesn't look that appealing. Like the cover when the original game came out, it was just kind of like, you know. But then I sat down and played it, and it has just some unique mechanisms where you have a stack of your color of discs as you're moving around these different tiles that are placed, and these tiles can be randomly put out, or you can put them out strategically. There's layouts that you can do it either way, but
Mhm.
you have your stack of your deals, and as you move, you can move as far as you want, but you got to drop off a disc every time you move to a different spot. So you can only go so far. Um, and I think there's the fountain is when you go to that, you can recover all your discs, or else you have to backtrack and pick your discs
Yeah.
back up and then go back out. So it limits your movement that way. So it makes you really need to think about what you're going to do. All those different tiles have all these different, every tile is completely different in what it does. There's ways to trade different resources. There's way of gaining resources, getting rubies, which is the ending part of the game. The rubies, once somebody gets 5 of those rubies, that starts end game, and then that
Okay.
turn out, and then it's over. Um, you're down here at the bottom left corner of the picture is your little personal board, and that's like a wheelbarrow, kind of. That's you can only hold so many of each resource as well, but one of those tiles you can buy add-ons to your wheelbarrow that you place down in that deal, and it lets you hold more and more resources, therefore being able to exchange more. It lets you get
Mhm.
chances to get more rubies and stuff. You can arrest people and get their family members arrested,
Oh
because
yeah.
there's those 2 big meeples out there. One of them's like a magistrate. I can't remember what they call it, but one of them like arrests you, and you have to go there and save it.
Yeah, I think
One,
you like have to go to the prison to get them out.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's these meeples up here are that. But
Oh, yeah.
then there's the purple one. It's either I can never get remember, but one of them you can pay like bribe,
Mhm.
um, and stuff. So there's just a lot of stuff in the expansions. Add stuff. There's like a letters expansion and a
Like a
cacao
chocolate one?
expansion, like
Yeah.
chocolate. So it just has more tiles and more,
Mhm.
and the more tiles you add, the more options you can have a board set up. And
Right.
this is one of those really really cool thinky games, and you pretty much it's as euro as you can get, because you're pretty much just wanting to exchange some things for other things to be able to get the rubies, and that's
Mhm.
your whole goal, is just to get those rubies.
Yeah, this is
So
kind of one of those mainstays. We should do a top 10, like, God, I don't know. I want to say modern classics, but like
evergreens, you could do evergreens.
Evergreens is a good one.
Yeah.
That would probably be where this would fall. I don't know. Like, what year range would you do modern classics? Like 5 years? You think 5 years is like,
Modern classics.
yeah, or like two? You think like, is 5 years like evergreens, or I feel like five would be modern classics and 10 would be evergreen.
Yeah, I
I
think
don't
that's
know.
probably a good deal, because I mean, some of these games, I would say maybe modern classics would be stuff from 2000 and up, because there's some stuff that came out in 2000 that is still
That's
rolling.
true.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you could make a big range for evergreens, because that could be
Sure.
anything. I mean, that's
Yeah, I
you
guess it
know,
would be different for a lot of people. Like Evergreen for me would probably be 2010 and up,
yeah,
but
and
then
that
other
would work
gamers would
too.
be like
Yeah,
80s. It's like,
right.
all right, no. Yeah, but I mean, this came out in 2014, still, I mean, sitting at a 7.6 with 29,000 rate. It's extremely solid. Like, And I mean, yeah, whenever it's so hard to try and hype up Euros because they all come down to gaining resources and spending them. It's like, well, that's all of them. It's like, no, but it's how you do it.
It is, and that whole disc movement thing, I'd never played a game that did that, so it's like
Yeah, I
being
still
able to
haven't.
stretch. Yeah, it's just being able to stretch yourself so thin, but then you limit yourself. You have to backtrack to pick up.
Right,
get
you're sitting there,
supplies.
you're like, okay, perfect. Now oh my God, I have to like backtrack. Yeah, no, this is a good one. None of my top 100, but it's still in the collection.
Yep.
All right. Well, my number 68 is one of the most popular games to have ever come out. This is 100% a modern classic. Speaking of which, this isn't why I brought that up, but yeah, without a doubt, this isn't going anywhere. Still receiving expansions, even though I was kind of disappointed by their latest one. It was 64 last year, so only fell 4 spots, and 67 in 2020. So sitting around this spot, and that is Wingspan. Wingspan is just phenomenal. Like everyone who hates it is hating it just to, be in the out. Like it's
Hipsters.
like right. Well, yeah, I mean, it's like, dude, just let people like things. Like if it's not for you, but there's like those guys that have to just make it known. Like every time Wingspan comes out, oh, it's actually a really bad game. It's like, okay, dude, like go outside. Like you just leave people alone.
Go back to your magic table.
Right. Yeah. Actually, yeah. So yeah, Wingspan is just a wonderful game. Like the accolades almost speak for itself with over 1 million copies sold. First design, design game by Elizabeth Hargrave, and I think she's done Maracaibo. Mariposa, thank you. Didn't do as well, but I think that's still a solid game. I don't believe it's in my top 100, but I still like it well enough. There's just something about this game. It's quick, it's efficient, you know exactly what you're doing. The birds are beautifully illustrated. Love the fun facts on the birds. I read every single one that I get. The 3 expansions, the Europe, Oceania, and then the Asia expansion just added so many more cards. But yeah, it's a bird engine builder game. It's like I said, 1 million copies sold. No one would have ever, like, before this game came out, nature themes didn't work. I mean, yeah, photosynthesis I think came out before it, but I mean that was like, okay, yay, trees. But now it's like Arc Nova, Meadow, Mariposas, endangered, like all these themes. I feel like this game is the reason why those games have a foothold. And I mean, I still enjoy it. Like, I mean, yeah, I didn't like the 2-player variant for Asia, but it was a standalone expansion, and it added another thing for a 2-player game, even though I find regular Wingspan at 2, just as good. So yeah, I mean, I'll buy every expansion that they make, and I'm actually getting ready to. I think pre-orders for the nesting box are about to go back up.
Yeah, I was gonna say Chad got the nesting box. I got to see it at the last game thing we had.
It's
and
huge.
A big old box. Yeah.
It's huge, and it's like clearly designed for more expansions.
Mm-hmm.
Like Stonemaier would be stupid to stop. I mean, there's 7 continents. We've done 4. Like if you count North America in the base game, then Europe, Asia, and Australia. That'd be 4. So we need 8, Africa, South America, and Antarctica, which is just a mini pack of penguins.
A bunch of penguins.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's what hey, here's a mini
Arctic.
pack.
You just do Arctic. That would take
true.
care of a lot of different areas.
Yeah.
Snow owls and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I'm along for the ride. This game is phenomenal. So if for some reason you haven't tried it, if the theme is throwing you off, it's a extremely solid engine builder that you can pretty much play with anyone, gamers and non-gamers, and it works extremely well at any player count. Except the weird Asia 7 to 8 player.
Yeah,
thing.
I would never try that. Yeah.
Yeah. Any player count from 1 to 4 is what I mean. Because the solo mode's actually pretty solid too.
Yeah, this was one I was late to the party to, and I played it a couple years ago and really got into it
Mm-hmm.
to the point where I have the stupid I even bought these. Well, I didn't buy them; they were gifted to me. But they're these little actual bird nests made out of twigs and
Oh
everything
yeah,
that you can put the eggs and stuff in. That
nice.
some company, Etsy company, made or something like that. So
Hmm.
they bought them for me.
Yeah,
So it's just one of those. It's just awesome game to put on the table, and they even
yeah.
have that one app. I don't even know if it's. I don't know if they keep it updated or not. That you can scan a card and it'll make the bird noises.
Yeah, I tried doing that last time I played, but something with like the new iPhone, just that
Really?
camera for some apps it does not work for.
Yeah.
Uh, but or maybe the app just doesn't work. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know.
this is one that you can just deluxify it to hell.
Hmm.
I wonder if those like if the nesting box takes into consideration those upgrades. Probably not.
Chad has all the upgrades, so I would. I
Like
mean,
the wooden nests or like the
well, he doesn't have those, but I mean, he
oh
has like
okay.
he has all the tokens, like the BGG tokens and
Oh,
all
okay.
that stuff, and like the bird meeples and all that crap.
Cool.
So I don't know, but
Neat.
yeah, that's a good one. Good choice.
Thank you.
All right. So my number 68 is a game that was in the 50s like the last 3 years. And then it fell down to 68 this time, mainly because I just haven't played it. And I need to buy the expansions for it just to kind of add a little freshness to it as well. I'm a big fan of Carcassonne. So this game kind of built Carcassonne up and added more decisions and a money engine to it that was kind of neat, and that is
Mm,
Isle of Skye.
yeah,
Uh,
nice. I have both the expansions for this and haven't tried them.
yeah, I need to get them just to have them because this is one of those games that, like I said, it's tile laying like Carcassonne, but there's that whole bidding mechanic with the money, because you're going to get tiles that are going to be hidden behind your little screen, and you're going to choose two of them. They're going to be sitting in front of your screen. You're going to put money behind your screen for each one of them, and one of them is going to have an axe. So, and then when you reveal the one that you put an axe on, that tile just goes away, and then the other player has the option to pay that amount of money to buy that tile. But if they don't buy the tile, then you have to spend that
Hmm.
money that you put down on it. But if they buy the tile, then you get your money plus what you had or their money plus what you had sitting on there. So it's like it adds that thinkiness and that gamesmanship to it, because you really need to pay attention to what their region looks like when they're building their stuff to know how important something is to them. And then the other thing that's really cool about this is that whole the scoring. There's a set of scoring tiles, and it'll be different every game. You'll pick 3 different ones, and then if you can see up here on the deal, like in round one, the A one will score, and then the
Hmm.
B, and then the A, C, and B, D are 4. So I guess there's 4 tiles you have up there. So it's just really neat because you can't just focus on one thing, because the A's don't even happen in the last round. So
Yeah.
you really have to kind of diversify yourself, look and see what's on the tiles, because the coins will give you, they're not money phase. You gain coins for however many coins you have connected with roads to your
Hmm.
deal. A lot of the scoring things deal with the number of boats you have or the number of sheep you have, or there's just a bunch of different stuff. And just in the base box alone, this game has a lot of replayability. But I want to get those expansions just to add the extra stuff. I
Yeah.
don't know if they probably just add more tiles, more winning conditions, and probably a couple more mechanics and stuff into it. But
Yeah. I
I think
actually
the journeyman one adds a board or something.
I just organized or tried to organize the expansions in the base box, which is not easy at all. Yeah, they add quite a bit. Those expansions, yeah, definitely obviously add more tiles, but they also add quite a few new ways to play from what I saw from the rule books.
Yeah, and it almost looks like, isn't that board on the left? Isn't that an expansion board? I don't remember that.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know which
So,
one that's
well,
from, but yeah,
yeah,
that doesn't
it's not base game, I know, but
right.
anyway, this is just one of those games. It's not a very heavy game, but it makes you think a little bit, and it's a fun one to just have out. It plays well 2 to 4,
Hmm.
easy,
Yeah, I think I've played this at, what does it go up to? Because I feel like I've played it at uh max player counts
My
and
guess would be 4, but I don't know.
5.
Okay.
It goes up to, I have played this at 5. It's I did not like it. I did not like it at 5. It came down to no, there were too many people that like no one was really looking at anyone else's tiles. They were just like happy with what they got, so then no one
Hmm.
was bidding. I'm like, okay, like yeah, I mean, I don't want to sit here and oh, my turn to bid. All right, let me look around at, 12 other tiles. I guess 8 because one would go away. But
Yeah,
other
I
than
mean,
that, yeah, I agree.
yeah, my favorite probably is 2 or 3. But I
Hmm.
mean, I played it with 4 and it was fine. But 2 and 3 is probably the best.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
So anyway, that's my 68.
Cool. Good deal. My number 67 is one that will most likely be higher on your list. I can't imagine it being um off your top 100, which would be surprising. It was 66 last year, so it only fell one spot. And it was 20 in 2020, so that was pretty cool. This game has so many expansions and still keeps getting them, even though now they seem to be more standalone themed ones that some work, some are surprising that they're doing. But it's just more factions to combine with other factions, and that is
Gotcha.
Smash Up. Uh, yeah, this one is a hit every single time I play it. Like I just got the 10th anniversary edition,
I
which
haven't got it.
added. The only thing it was a duplicate of was if you got the sheep promo, so that
Okay.
was cool. Like I was trying to figure out like if the factions that they were releasing were just like updated ones of like the space game. It was not, and so the only faction I had to get rid of was the sheep one, and then it added more titans for or the a bunch of other factions. So not every faction has a titan still. Uh, which is a shame because last time I played this was the only time it was actually kind of annoying because we played where two of us had factions that didn't have a Titan and one did, and it's just a distinct advantage. But some factions rely heavily on their Titan, so they gotta. Hopefully, they just make it to where every faction has one. Um, but if you're not familiar with Smash Up, it's a area control game where you take two factions, 20 card decks, shuffle them together, and then you play, and first one to 15 points wins. Those bases have a breaking point that once a certain power limit is met, then it breaks, and whoever has the most power there will score the first points on the left, and then second place gets the middle, third place gets the far right, and whoever gets to 15 first wins. But obviously, this game is amazing just because of the sheer card play. I I don't know at this point if I'm pretty sure a lot of these factions are probably playing the same. I can't imagine that they're still releasing factions that are like wholly unique,
Right.
but somehow like it's never brought up. I think just yeah, if I were to probably sit down and analyze every faction, I'd be like, "Oh, there's 80, 70 of them play the same." I don't obviously those numbers aren't correct, but yeah, it's just every time like I pull out that app and then just randomize the factions and have a blast playing it. Like last time I played this, I told my friends kind of what I did at a tournament one time, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna show you guys why this faction is annoying, and I picked wizards and tricksters, and they basically sat around and watched me play. Like I'm like, all right, I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna draw 4 cards. I'm gonna do another action. All right, I'm gonna play another minion, which lets me draw more cards, and then I'm gonna do more actions. And then they're like, is it our turn yet? I'm like, no. Now I'm gonna play these to where you can't play on these bases, and I am a dick. I didn't win. That was the faction or the game where someone had a Titan, and it was just too powerful. But I'm like, I was annoying. I told you guys I was gonna be.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, there's just, I mean, yeah, the factions are extremely thematic. The art is great for all of them. It's just this is one of those kind of like party-esque games that I have a blast with. So it's been on the list for quite some time, and
Yeah.
I'll buy every expansion. I have the Disney one, have the Marvel one. They're in there. And
I
at least
don't have the Disney one. I can't get myself to buy it. I don't know why.
it's
I'll
yeah,
never play
it's
it. It's
I
like,
mainly picked it because I like their choices for like half of it. Like I clearly like Nightmare Before Christmas and Lion King and Mulan. Uh, but so they did 4 old school ones and then they did 4 newer ones. They're in there just like I bought the Marvel one. But at least they didn't try to add like they're just factions. Like there's nothing new about them. They didn't do some weird Munchkin shit where it completely threw off the whole game. They luckily they learned their lesson. So you can own those, and it's just more options of what to pick without totally disrupting the game. But yeah,
yeah,
somehow this game just works for me. It's a blast.
zombies, always zombies.
Yeah, I think there's another one, skeletons as well.
Oh,
So I
really?
feel like
That'd be
zombies and
interesting.
skeletons, it's just like your units just don't die.
Yeah.
Like that'd be obnoxious. Uh, so yeah, somehow they're still killing it at AEG with this.
All right. Well, it might be on. I can't remember if it's on my list or not.
It's completely off. You're like,
I
this
mean,
game
it's
sucks.
definitely up there. It's in consideration whether it's high or not. I can't remember.
Oh,
Right.
I see.
I'll have it right in front of me.
Well, I know you haven't talked about it yet.
Yeah, and most likely it's going to be on there further up.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 67 is a game that has been on my list for the last several years, quite a bit higher. It was 19 a few years ago, 35, 37, and then dropped 30 spots this year, mainly because I have not played this at all this year, I don't think. And
Well, you've only had it. I mean, it's only been 4 days.
well, ha, ha, ha,
It's 2023.
but anyway, this one, a lot of people have compared to another really big game that came out in 2022 that I have played several times. And I don't think it replaces it, but it's just, there's that comparison. And that is Terraforming Mars with
Nice.
Arc Nova is what everybody kind of compares to it a little bit.
Right.
I mean, I don't think it replaces, like I said, but it's the same wheelhouse a little bit. But this is one, like I said, I have not played this much. It's just going to keep falling unless I do get it played. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't have like the last 2 expansions for it. I just have the other stuff set up.
What was it? It was Turmoil, and what was the one before that? Colonies?
Well, maybe I just don't have the one then, because I have
Okay.
I have Colonies and Prelude
And Venus.
and Venus.
Okay.
And so I guess it's just the Turmoil.
I think it is just Turmoil. Yeah, yeah. You're good. Unless you want the dual layer boards.
Oh, I have some. I bought some off
Oh, well then you're
Etsy or
good.
something for dual layers, so I'm good with that. I just don't have the big box and all that 3D crap and all that stuff. But
Again,
yeah,
you're good.
this one though, when I used to play it quite a bit, it's kind of had the weird component quality issues and stuff like that. But it's also, well, it was a top 3 game for a while, and on BGG, it's kind of starting to slide down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
This came out. This was the one that won the Battle of Mars games that kind of came out all around that time, even though it wasn't much of a fight. But a lot of people complain about this one with the clip art stuff, and all that stuff with the cards. It's fine, whatever. But more or less, what you're doing on this game is you're just trying to build your colony on there. And temperature makes a difference. You're building your tableau cards out. You're just kind of like this one. I play this one solo more often than not. It becomes a beat your score kind of thing. And by the end of the game, you just have cards all over the place in front of you. I don't know how much the Venus Next board really changes things. I mean, I know there's a different resource that brings in, but even though I have it, I don't know if I've ever even used the Venus Next.
I don't think I have either.
Stuff. But this is just one of those games that just shot up the ranks. This one would be one I would consider, for all intents and purposes. This was Stronghold Games evergreen kind of, but kind of set them up and is going to be one that's going to always sell well for them for the most part.
Yeah.
It's just something about that getting that engine built, and like you said with the dual layer boards. I mean, you have to have dual layer boards for this game. This is one of those games that you just so much cube moving and stuff, and it's important with resource collections on your board that if it gets knocked around, I mean, that's just shit. The very first time I played this, played without that, and shit like that happened, and it's just annoying. But which says a lot for this game, because with the component quality being what it was and certain things they left out when they were building this game, it's still to make it as high as it was and as popular as it was for a long time. It just makes it it's just a super solid game, and hopefully I get it played sometime so that it doesn't fall off this list.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, there's something about this game where like last time I played it, it's been a few months, but it was a 4-player game, hadn't touched it in a while. We were initially going to play with Turmoil and stuff, but none of us remembered how it played. We're like, never mind, we'll just do the base game. And like I was like, okay, it's been a while, guys. So, but as like the first round went through and like they were kind of like reminding me how to play, that it just like clicked again, and I'm like, I remember why this game is super good. And I felt like I like was hustling them because I ended up winning, but like for the first like half of the game, I'm like, I don't really remember how like this stuff works. I should have put money down, be like,
Yeah.
$20 says I win, and then haha. No, it's extremely satisfying. I was just looking it up. It's still ranked 6th overall. Arc
Still
Nova's
6th.
at 4.
Arc Nova's like 4. Good lord.
It's like, yep, already at 4. But it's good to know that the BGG top 100 is very consistent, because as Gloomhaven at number 1 and Jaws of the Lion at like 7.
Yeah.
So that's pretty neat. But yeah, this one is still extremely solid. I don't think it'll ever leave my collection. Even though I have Arc Nova as well. They're both, I mean, I have them ranked as both 9 out of 10s, and they are.
Yeah, for
Although
sure.
I will say Arc Nova's solo variant is better.
Yes. I mean, I haven't played, that's why.
Yes, I need to play it. Yep, Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion at number 7. Yeah, very good choice. Very, very good choice. My number 66 was number 45 in 2021 and number 68 in 2020, which is really weird because I feel like this should have gone higher, because this game got a much needed expansion that I will always play with. I think it just really opens up the game a lot more, makes it a little bit more strategic, but still, I feel there needs to be. I've heard actually lately there are rumors of another expansion for this game, which is awesome. But this one, everyone was talking about the year it came out, and that is The Lost Ruins of Arnak. I don't know any, I know no details at all about. I just was watching someone's top 10 of 2022, and some guy on there had mentioned they heard that there's a going to be a new expansion for it. So that's cool, if true. But yeah, so this was kind of like the first hybrid that I had seen of worker placement and deck building, where it did both of them very well. You only have 2 workers for this that allow you to go to various locations, get resources that allow you to buy cards, or to go out on expeditions to defeat guardians, which are points, and collect resources. But what's so weird to me is that everyone is like throwing a fit about this game lately, where it's like, yeah, if you don't go up on that track at all, you can't win. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's the track is the game. Like everything else is just to help you go up on that track. Like
Right.
all your cards, all your well, maybe not all your relics and stuff. That's the crux of the game. So it's like, yeah, I mean, maybe if that was their intent, then maybe they kind of should have flipped the design where the track was a little bit bigger to kind of make it the focal point. But I don't know. Like normally I'd agree with a lot of people that a game shouldn't have a meta, but to me, it's not like this is one game where you have a bunch of avenues of ways to get like victory points that it's like, no, this is the clear way to win. The game is that research track. So maybe it's just worked in my brain a little bit better than others. Dune Imperium is nowhere even close. It's not even considered. I don't own the game. That game frustrates me to all hell. Even though I can clearly see it's a solid worker placement deck builder as well. It's just there's a lot of things I have issues with that are not here. And I really love the way that this board looks, the design, the expedition, the track works is super fun. So yeah, like I really like this, and that expedition leaders expansion, giving everyone individual player powers and offering another track board, so you have 4. I mean that in and of itself should tell you that the game is the tracks when they offer you 4 research tracks. Like that's like if you were playing Heat and it's like, God, it's all about just winning the race. Like you can't win any other way. It's like, yeah, it's a race. Yeah, but I don't know. I just wish there was like 40 other ways to win. It's like, well, that's not this game. Go
Right.
play another game where there's a bunch of avenues to victory. Go play viticulture or video. I mean, but I don't know. That's just one of those complaints that people make that just doesn't make sense to me. It's like, God, all you do is make wine in viticulture. What the fuck? This game sucks. All you do in Wingspan is collect bird cards. It's like just whatever. I don't know. I'm just picking on people now, but yeah, this one's fantastic. Really, really enjoy it. So that's my 66.
Yep, another good one for sure.
We're just knocking it out of the park on this one.
Yeah.
Except for you run, fight, and die, but there's an outlier in every stat.
All right. So my number 66 is a game I know you like as well. So it has fallen from last year though, and as I don't really know if it's just because I haven't played it or what, or just if it's just how it fell this year. It was in the 50s and 60s. Prior to that, it was 27 last year, not 66. So it made a pretty decent drop. It's my first game I dove into in like the whole solving a crime deal. We're getting ready to sneeze.
I was gonna.
But it's my first game down into the crime foray of games. I haven't played detective
Okay.
and stuff like that, but this one caught me by surprise, being able to actually investigate the crime scene, and that is Chronicles of Crime. This one's fun to play solo. It's two's about the best.
Yeah,
solo's fun because if you start playing with more than the 2, then you start having a lot of people just kind of sitting around doing stuff, not really doing anything. One player is how I primarily play it, but then 2-player works because you can kind of tell what you're seeing and they can kind of dig the cards and all that stuff. This one, let's see if it's a spoilery picture. Nope, it's not. So this one they've supported quite a bit. I don't know what their plans are down the road, but
they're probably done.
You think?
I think so.
But yeah, because they've kind of moved the mechanic of the whole QR code stuff onto other games and stuff now. So.
Destinies and then Dark Quarter.
Yeah,
like their other 2.
But this one, they've done really good picking the genres or themes of these crimes because you had this stuff in the base box, and then they had the whole like the stranger thing, whatever, the teenage kids.
Oh, the 80s, the Welcome to
80s
Redview or something. I was gonna say Redwall, but I'm like, that's not right.
And noir, and then they kind of came to a peak with that last Kickstarter they did where it had that whole big branching story over different centuries and stuff. I haven't played the future one yet. I've done the other ones up to that, I believe. But this is just one of those. It's cool because you use your phone or device, and you're kind of one person's kind of looking around the crime scene and they're trying to find stuff, and then you have QR codes on everything, and you're
Mhm.
scanning stuff, and it kind of builds a story. This was to my knowledge, this was the first game that utilized all that stuff, and created an engine around QR codes to be able
It
to.
has to be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, because the Lucky Duck and this setup, I mean, this was so like those other games wouldn't exist if this wasn't a popular mechanic and stuff,
Mhm.
even though Destiny sucks. But um but anyway, yeah, this was one that I really enjoyed. I like the art. They kind of changes a little bit throughout the different boxes and expansions that you get. It's not easy by any means. It's not super difficult, but it's not easy as well.
No,
Yeah.
because they definitely improved upon like the Sherlock Holmes, like either feel like a genius or feel like shit. Like you, as long as you get like the main question right, like who
Mhm.
killed this person, then you like pass. It's like, but then you obviously want a higher score.
Right.
Um, yeah,
Well,
actually,
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Kat and I played this recently, and it's a blast. Like every single time, every scenario is just super unique.
Yeah, and they have the DLC scenarios and stuff
Mm,
on their app. So if you get on the app, there's all this stuff you can buy on that too and download. It's just there's a lot of stuff for this game. Even if they are done with it, there's a ton
hmm.
of content out there to get for it.
Oh
And
yeah.
this one, I don't like I said, I don't know why it fell. It's maybe just because I haven't played it a whole lot or what. But if I
This
get
is
it
kind
to
of a mood game.
yeah.
Like you have to be in the right mood to want to uh go out. But yeah, like there's 4 chapters in the Red View one. The Noir one has 4. There's extra scenarios that has 2, 4, 6, 7. Then there's the base game which has 4. Like Chronicles of Time has 4. I think they all have 4 actually. No, the 2400 has 3, 1900 has 4, and 1400 has 5.
Yeah.
So few of those being tutorials. So that's what, 20 plus
Yeah, something like
scenarios?
that.
Yeah.
I just like how they utilize that, because there's that helper thing that you have with, like, in the 1400, wasn't it a dog
Oh yeah, the
thing?
dog, yeah.
And then it was like and
It
each one
basically
of the
gives you the
boxes.
answers. It's
Yeah.
like, dog, smell this. Killer's over there. It's like, what? Good boy. Yeah,
So yeah,
found him.
but this was definitely one that kind of put Lucky Duck out there for me. Because I
Yeah,
had
even though they had done a few games before, but
right.
100% Lucky Duck has become known as the game that, or the company that utilized like the best app utilization in games. I think Fantasy Flight contests with them for app-driven games, at least the way their apps work. But Fantasy Flight feels like way more of a website with their apps sometimes, and this is not. So yeah, you brought up Destinies, which brings me to a funny story. So during the Barnes and Noble sale that was going on, like I was out there just kind of browsing, and this guy picks up Destinies, and I'm talking to this guy, and apparently he knew the dude who picked up Destinies, and he's like, have either of you guys played this? I'm like, yeah, I have, and I was gonna leave it at that, and he's like, what do you think? I'm like, it wasn't for me. Like, and I don't know, like I was kind of basically my biggest gripe with the game was it's weirdly competitive, and it's like, okay, you've opened up a quest line, and I happen to be at the spot that
Yeah.
you need to be, and I get to complete it. I get to just be a dick. And like if they had made that app to where you had hidden information, where it's like, yeah, I clearly saw you went there. Like that is like the gamery part where it's like, oh, but I really want to, like maybe I want to try and hedge him off. Maybe I can get there and to where I need to go before him. That's fine, but to just open information of just what everyone needs to do
Yeah.
just is really frustrating.
Yep.
So had that Fallout system, which I thought was really bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. That is a good one. My number 65 is brand new on the list, and finally we come to a game that you have shown me. Even though it's not great at 2, it's not bad. It's just kind of, it's basically uh multiplayer solitaire. This game will I feel like this is one that will definitely go higher. One, because they're getting a massive expansion, and two, it's so good solo. It's so good that I plan on playing every single civilization in it, and that is
Yep.
Imperium Classic. Hey, she put both. Awesome. That's great. I think I just put classics. Yeah, like I have both of these. I have the insert to store both of them, which will probably become obsolete when they aren't. Isn't it gonna be like 16 new factions?
Yes, and I don't know when that's coming out. It was supposed to be out by now, but
Really? Oh, I thought it
yeah,
was 2023.
no, I think it was at 22, but I don't know. I may be
Oh,
wrong. With this being,
uh,
it probably came out in Europe or something.
probably. What was it? Imperium
It was Imperium.
Legends. No, that's that.
No, God dang it.
Here, I'll find it. I'll find it real quick. Because these names, because they're individual games. So not expansions, Osprey games. It is. God damn it. God damn it. All this undaunted shit. It's clearly the worst game of the two. All right, Imperium Horizons.
Horizons, yes.
Says 2023.
Okay.
Because I thought this was on your anticipated list, but yeah.
It may have been.
14 unique civilizations coming with this. Yeah, all that to say, this is probably my favorite civilization game. Like this just hits the nail on all heads for it. The solo mode is beautifully designed with every faction playing radically different, and to their strength. Like you pick a civ and it's like, yeah, this makes sense for the civilization. The time you were teaching me the game, we played Greeks and Romans, and I was like, I don't know, man, they can
Too
kind of
close.
seem the same. And then I'm like, well, I think historically these guys are going to be pretty similar also. But yeah, like for the run through, I did Egypt. I think I did Egypt against Arthur. And prior to that, I had played Arthur against, I don't remember,
You're right.
some unknown civilization, or not unknown, but a civilization I didn't know about, and got my ass beat. And then I was like, how is Arthur going to work as a solo just because they don't play like the rest of them? And works out extremely well. Still lost. It's very hard, at least for me to win. But yeah, every civilization plays different. Basically, yeah, it's all card driven. Like you have you have cards that you're going to play using you have only a certain number of actions that you can do to play out certain cards into a tableau, trying to gather enough progress to then just get better cards from like your main civ deck off the top to then become an empire, which is then how you start kind of just accentuating your civ overall. You gather cards of various types from the central market, really, of civil cards, uncivil cards, leader cards, that are just gonna basically define your civilization. It's, I mean, it's just so clean. It doesn't take 10 hours of a board game. It doesn't take 6 weeks of a video game to play, and it's just that perfect sweet spot. So yeah, I was very surprised. Clearly I would only market and play this game as a solo. No interest in playing it with more than that, honestly, just because you're barely interacting with each other. I know there are some, like the Celts are big on sending unrest, and that's kind of how, that's another way the game can end, is if that unrest deck ever runs out. I think, yeah, it just immediately ends. I think whoever has the most unrest just loses. Otherwise it does go to victory points. But yeah, this one's really, really good. My plan is to play every single faction and solo and then rank them. So I can't tell you who my favorite is right now. Out of the ones I've played, which is not many, which is I've seen Romans played. I think you played Romans.
Yes.
I've seen Romans played. I played Greeks. I've played Egyptians. I've played Arthurians. Egypt was really good. I liked them a lot. Arthur was weird. But they were fun too. They really, fit the bill. But yeah, they're pretty difficult to play well, which I don't think I did because I really lost. It was bad. But yeah, that's my number 65. Imperium Classics or Legends, they're the same game.
Yeah, the thing I liked about this was how you can have a ton of cards out, but you had those the little tiles. You had your action tiles, but then you also had the can't even think what they're
Reaction tiles, right?
the ones that
Weren't
had the X on them. So like you put those on the cards that you.
Yeah, weren't they free actions?
Well, there's some had free actions, some had where you could just use them and you had to put the markers on them to say that they were
Okay.
used. They were, and they were used up.
Yeah.
So you had all these different card type things and just build up, and in the track of cards you buy from, they keep getting more and more valuable if they don't get bought. More stuff gets out there, and
yeah, because you also like every time your deck shuffles, you take a card from the top of like that. I mean, I can't control the mouse, but there's that sideways deck that's basically your civilization progressing, and then but you can only do that once. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you could really just do like I think the Romans are really big on card draw and they're advancing super fast, so they become an empire really quickly. But then a lot of cards are obsolete. You can only play them if you're in the barbaric state, and it's like, crap, I did not plan, so I have no cards that I can use.
Yeah, the cards that come out with the unrest under them is also a thing, because there's that whole thing where some actions you can pay more to break through.
Yeah.
So you don't have to take the unrest card, so there's a lot of cool choices to make.
Yeah. Yep.
Stuff, so
all with it being a deck builder, and somehow David Turczi and who's the other designer? It was
Nigel Buckle.
Nigel Buckle. Yeah, they've somehow made. I mean, there's 8 factions that play radically different with 14 more. Jeez.
And the Miko's art.
Oh, it's awful. It's awful. It's the worst. It's the worst unless it's scenic. Like he has the worst people. I will say that I'll say to his face. Watch, I'm gonna meet him and he's gonna be like the most gorgeous looking guy. I'm gonna be like, damn, dude, he's hot.
I think he has like this huge beard. He's like this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think because there's a card that has him in it and stuff. Yeah, he'd probably just squish you with his forefinger.
He's like, hey, I've heard you've been talking shit. That wasn't me. That was let me see.
He's gonna put your corpse on a card, and it's gonna be in his art.
Man, it's so realistic. Okay, so his profile picture on Board Game Geek doesn't have a beard, but his only other one, yeah, he's a good looking guy. Damn it, dude, you needed to look like your art, so I can harass you. Anyway, that's my 65 Imperium.
All right, my number 65 is a game that, let's see where it was last time. It was actually jumped quite a bit. It was 97 last year, but it was in the 50s the couple of years prior to that. So I think it just came back down because I played it. And it's one that you still need to play, and I'm surprised you still haven't played. It was the original T game in the T game series.
Oh, yeah.
That people have talked up, and that is Tzolk'in the Mind
2023.
Calendar.
This is the year. I'm playing. I'm playing my Shelf of Shame. I'm pulling them off.
Well, and I played it with the expansion this last time, so
nice.
It adds the variable player power, the tribal.
I've heard that expansion is like a must. Like people just won't play without it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it depends on what your Euro style is, because if you just like surefire Euros where everybody kind of starts the same spot and you're out trying to outplay the other person, then the base game is fine. The variable player powers fit more modern day things. People want to have a starting point and a plan. What made this game famous was it had the huge gear system. So like in this picture, there's a big gear in the middle of the table, and then there's a bunch of little gears that are attached to it. So all intents and purposes, it's a worker placement game. You are placing a worker onto one of those dials or one of those gears. And at the beginning of each turn, the big gear turns one spot and it moves those around. So when it's your turn, like you said, you can either put one down or you can pick up a worker. When you pick it up, you get that resource or action or whatever. The longer they're on that gear, the more valuable they become. So it's a whole timing thing, because if you're playing with multiple people, you need to look and know how many, that thing before every person's turn, the gear's gonna turn. So you have to kind of make sure you're gonna be in the right spot to get what you want.
Question. Do
yes.
you have any control over this turning, or is it just a static, beginning of the round, rotate?
At the beginning of each person's turn, it rotates one spot.
Okay. Are there any abilities that allow you to rotate or turn back or anything? Because it's like, it seems like I mean, clearly.
Not that I've run into. Okay. I mean, because it's supposed to show the time is moving, so the game ends in one, like that. Once that big gear goes all the way around one time, the game's over.
Okay.
So it's, but there's a lot of stuff. I mean, it's a longer, you get a full game out of it,
No, yeah, I was just, yeah, I wasn't looking closely at those tiny gears, so I thought that like there was a finite space you could put. So I'm like, well, you're always gonna, if you're in a 4-player game, you're always gonna be 4 spaces. So, but I see now that there's a bunch of holes that you can place so that you can plan accordingly.
Yeah, you can choose where to play. Yeah, so it's just a well thought out one, I think, and the components are really cool. There's these blue crystal skulls that are a resource over there on the far right. And
they released this in 2012 as well.
Yeah, and corn is a resource. There's a lot of resources and stuff with this. Like I said, this was the first of those T games that all came out. This was kind of the original one before.
I don't think I wonder if it's considered. I don't think so. I don't know if it's actually considered as one of the T series.
Really?
Maybe it is.
I mean, I just hear people say that. I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe it's only the good ones. Maybe they are, because like no one talks about like Trismegistus. Yeah. But so it's like maybe it's only the good T games.
Maybe. But this group has went on to make several other really cool games, Euro style games. And like I said, the expansion adds a few more things to it, mainly variable player powers. And people have went really, I mean, you can search online. People have went in and like painted their gears and made it look really like Aztec looking and all that stuff. And they're really cool looking.
Yeah, this duo of designers, I guess I need to play this soon, made Teletum, which is one of the T games that came out in 2022, along with like 20 others. They released a bunch. Yeah. But yeah, that's rated relatively high. Teletum is. But yeah, I have the expansion as well, because I'm a fucking psycho. I'm like, hey, I haven't played this game. I've had it for 10 years. Let me go ahead and buy the expansion.
Yeah, this is just a really good, because I like worker placement games, and I always like unique ways of doing worker placement. And this was cool, having that whole timing deal of pulling a worker off to get the resource and stuff like that. It's just a really neat one, and I've had it for quite a while, and it's just kind of hangs around. I could just see it staying on this list for quite a while.
Cool. So. Yeah, maybe next year we'll see we'll see this on the list, because I'm getting it played like 100%. I have Concordia set up right now, playing that tonight.
Oh, let me know how it goes.
I'm like to call you. This game is trash. No. Like I'm driving to your house, just knock on the door. Hey Seth, what are you doing here? Just hate you. You're like, oh, I guess he didn't like it. Anyway, yeah, I would say good choice, but I technically don't know.
I would find it hard to believe you not liking it. I mean, maybe not loving it, but I don't think you're gonna hate it. You know what I'm saying? It's
gotta, just depends on how well I do. If I do badly, I'm not gonna like it.
Yeah.
Anyway, my number 64 is the second new one on this list and the last one for this segment. This one is just relatively high because there were a lot of games that came out in 2022 that had cute art and were not great, and this was wonderful art that was really good, and just was a vibe. Like I thoroughly enjoyed the entire time I was playing this, and that is Flamecraft, art by Sundara Tang, and it's just, I mean, I backed this purely for its art and aesthetic, and was not disappointed. Like, yeah, it is beautiful artwork and just something that you're just playing it the entire time and you're like, I want to live here. This seems like a very nice nice place to live. But at the same time, it's a solid resource management game. Like, you send like your main dragon to these different stalls like Draco Bell to and then you play a dragon on that. So like that's kind of where they're working to gather resources. But each time as the game goes on, these locations just become more and more powerful. You go there and activate the abilities of every dragon that's been placed there. If those locations have been enchanted, you gather more resources to then fulfill objectives that are in the middle of the table, which give you heart points, like hit points or whatever. And that's kind of your victory point track. If that was kind of all the game had, I think it would kind of, I'd be like, yeah, this game is cute, but I don't want to keep it. But they did have specialized dragons like Buddy down there, which I think I could be making this up, but I feel like I was told that the special cards are either named after designers or people who back the game. I don't remember. I think there is something special about those names for the specialized cards. But there's like a moon, there's moon cards and sun cards. I think sun cards are abilities you can use during the game, and moon cards are at the end of the game on scoring objectives. But so there's a whole deck of those. So that kind of gives the game a lot more variety. This one also has, there are a bunch of unique dragons that you can place at these locations, but they all do the same thing, which is very nice. Like, normally I would like a lot more variety, but with those moon and sun dragons, that's my variety. This game is just extremely wholesome. You're going to get a different set of locations that are going to come out, because not every location spot is open. I think you have the same ones starting out the game, but then you shuffle up the stack and then add a bunch more face down, and they're going to be way more powerful abilities, lots of strategy to gather heart points, but it's also not extremely long. Like, if this game was 2 hours, I'd be like, okay, there's not enough game here, but it's like that, they just hit that sweet spot for this one. I don't know where it's going to end up next year, but this is kind of one of those that if you're gonna like play with people who usually don't play these kinds of resource games, you can really probably get them at least engaged in this one. So yeah, love it. Love the puns. Love the world. It's fantastic. So that's my 64 Flamecraft.
Yeah, it's definitely a hot one. You hear a lot of people talking about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and normally, again, that art would just be like, wow, the art's really good, I love it, and the game sucks. And yeah, not the case here.
Yeah. All right. Well, my number 64 is a game that I know you like. This one was 99 last year. So it's
Ooh.
jumped up quite a bit, and mainly because an expansion came out for it, which was on my top 5 expansions that we did for this year, for 2022. This game was not rated any before, so last year was the first time it was on its list. So
Okay.
it's up 35 spots.
Yep.
And that is Maracaibo.
Nice.
This was my first foray into a Fister game. We're gonna go with a bunch of sounds. But this was one that I knew you had and talked about how good it was. I ended up getting it, running through it solo, and stuff. And this is just one of those games that it's so vibrant color wise. It's pretty on the table, but for all intents and purposes, it's kind of a race game for all intents and purposes. I mean, it also it brings that whole Caribbean trading theme, makes it a little more interesting because
Yeah.
there was that whole stigma about those games being boring as hell and everything. But
Right.
pretty much you're just sailing around the Caribbean, and you're going to be there's going to be like city tiles and stuff that you're going to be able to perform different actions and stuff at, or you're doing like pick up deliver stuff. You can also the thing that I like is the quest mode, um, like the little campaigns type stuff, whatever you want to call it. So with this game, the quest mode is neat because it kind of gives you a direction to go and kind of gives you just a tiny little story. It's not an in-depth story, but it's just kind of this tiny little story that kind of goes along with it. Solo
It's
mode,
still a story nonetheless, though.
yeah, exactly. You don't get that in these kind of games a whole lot,
Mhm.
and the expansion even adds more of that. So you're just kind of moving your ship around the course. Actually, I guess I better show the picture.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah, that's a good one.
So yeah, it kind of shows you just kind of going around the Caribbean. You're doing all those different things. It kind of this kind of shows your worker board and all that stuff as well. It's just colorful. The different cards have different stuff with it. The solo mode of this is really really sharp.
Oh, I haven't tried the solo yet.
It reminds me of like how you do solo with like people say with the Great Western Trail and stuff. I mean
Oh,
they
okay.
have it named. It's like a named. Can't remember what it's
Yeah.
called, Jock or something like that. I can't remember the name of the solo deal, but yeah, you're pretty much just moving your ship around the course, and you're managing it by using cards and stuff like that. I mean, it's and it doesn't take for this being the type of game it is, it's not a super long game either. The
Yeah.
box says like 40-45 minutes a person, and that's probably about right. I mean, especially if you know what
Yep.
you're doing with it. I mean,
This game
it's
works well at any number of players too.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
for sure.
enjoy it quite a bit actually at 2. Um, but yeah, this is attributed, really well to its other game, Great Western Trail, because it's
Mhm.
like that's also kind of a race. Like beginning of the game, you don't have a lot of places to stop, but then as the game goes on, you start putting your own specialized people out, which I think is really cool. It's like, hey, at location 11, now I have a guy there that I can go to. No, this one is really really good. I can hardly decide which one I think is better between the two. Actually, but I think this one's higher for you. Have you mentioned Great Western Trail yet? I thought you have. Maybe
Uh,
not. Maybe not.
hold on. Yeah, I did. In
Okay.
94.
Yeah,
I like the theme of this better. The whole
sure.
moving cows and stuff is
Yeah,
what it is, and
yeah.
he has that mechanic, they all have that kind of race type thing because with
Hmm.
Boone Lake, you're doing the same thing, and
Yeah,
Great Western Trail, it's just kind of
yeah.
his shtick, but he
Him
knocks it out of
and
the park.
Shem Phillips games, they're at that sweet spot of Euro games for me. Like I am much more willing to play any of those guys' games than a Beetle
Mhm.
game at this point. Like, uh, so yeah, yeah. No, this is a good one. All
But
right, my number 63. Speaking of Vito Losarda, is one of his games, which is actually interesting because if I stick to the plan of doing my top 100 with only games that are in my collection, none of his games are actually on will be on here. Because I ended up selling all of his games off just because they never get played. Like it's just yeah, they're masterpieces in design, but who knows? I know he's going on Kickstarter for another game in 2023, and you can get all of his games then. And it's like maybe I'll just buy them all back and be like, I gotta have them. But
yeah,
this one is amazing. In terms of just probably variety and just everything that's going for it. 9 out of 10 game for me, and that is On Mars. God, every time I see this artwork, I'm just like,
yeah.
it's so good. On Mars is easily his most complex game. I would have initially said Weather Machine, but On Mars has just way more variety in strategy, tons of different ways to score victory points and ways to win, whereas Weather Machine did not. So I think after a play of Weather Machine, you're like, okay, I got it. And after a few plays of this, you're like, okay, I think I got it. But it's basically two halves of one game. One half of the game is you're in space, and there's only actions you can do in space, which are basically prep actions to go to the planet. And that's the other half of actions where you're sending rovers out and robots to pick up resources and to build various types of buildings that the colony needs. Like it is grounded in really good, like I wouldn't say reality, but you feel the theme and that everything just clicks whenever you're trying to explain that, which is just, I mean, a design philosophy that I believe he has, where he tries to be like, okay, every action you're doing has to make thematic sense in one way or another. In this one, like every resource is kind of paid forward, where it's like, okay, you need people to collect minerals, you need minerals to collect power, you need power to make water, you need water to create plants, you need plants to create oxygen, you need oxygen for people. And it cycles like that. It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Well, how do I get water? Okay, so it's like so that's what makes this game very hard. But this one, I really, really enjoy. Like I said, even though at this time of doing this recording, I don't own it anymore, that's mainly just more of the sweet spot of Euro games that I want to play. But yeah, like this one is extremely tight. Lots going on, tons of ways to score victory points because there's various objectives that you can score. And last time I played this, I was like, you know what? I'm not, because there's also cards you can get, like technologies and projects that you want to work on. I didn't build a single thing. All I did was build settlements and get all my workers out. And I did really well. I didn't win, but I think I lost by like 4 or 5 points, and all I did was like one thing the entire game. I'm like, oh, I'll see if that works, and it did. I mean, it was a respectable score for just doing that, which is, I mean, commendable for a game of this magnitude. But yeah, not everyone's cup of tea. Oh, I guess I should also say it rose. It was 79 last year, rose 16 spots, and it was 46 in 2020. But yeah, like the only negative I have on this game, honestly, is I thought the expansion was extremely weak. It's sometimes semi-cooperative. It's like, just don't even bother. Like 2 modes I think are cooperative, one's solo and one is competitive, or one versus many. It's like, just play this game solo. If you want a cooperative experience, play this game solo with a buddy.
Right.
And then you'll have a great time. So yeah, that's my number 63 on Mars.
Okay. Well, my number 63 is another game that I think you would enjoy. You haven't played it yet. And it was new to my list last year. It was 61 last year, so it virtually is in the same spot. Osprey Games came out with this, and it has art from one of your favorite board game artists.
So hot. Well, now I know what he looks like.
And this is.
Oh, okay, never mind. I thought it was Amigo. An actual artist. Oh, I see. No, Tool is great.
Yeah, this one, Merv, is one that caught my eye because it's just, the cover is unique and colorful, and then you start playing it, and it's just, this is a pretty damn, to me, for my standards. I mean, I don't play Vital Lacerda games or anything, but this one is very thinky and very deep for a Euro style game. Pretty much what you're looking at here is Merv was like one of the most greatest cities in the world, is what back in the day. And you are doing all these Euro mechanics and everything. You're trying to gain powered wealth, but there's also this whole mechanic of you're building up walls to the city because there's these hordes of, I guess, barbarians or something like that are coming. So you need to either decide to give up working on your stuff inside the city to help build the walls, or just say to hell with the walls and just try to get as much done as you can prior.
Okay.
The board is very convoluted. This is one that it takes a lot of time to figure out the symbology and try to get everything situated, which
Mhm.
is exactly why this was a difficult game for me to really pick up and go, because this is on the higher end of complexity for me. But pretty much just got this grid deal. So you're going to pick a column and stuff, and that's where you're going to be able to, or pick a column in a row, and that's where you're going to be able to build, because that's where you see those worker spots on the outside. So
Mhm.
you're going to set workers on those spots, and then that will tell you where you intersect and build your stuff at. So you build houses, you pick up resources, do other things. You're trying to build up like your popularity or your stature, kind of, and stuff like that. You're just trying to get the most money as well. There's a lot going on in this game, but when you get done with, like, even playing a 2-player game, I've played this solo, which is fine, but 2 players really fun with this one. But when you get done with a 2-player game, that board is just full. I mean, there's if you get on BGG and look at like the second picture, there's
Okay.
the end of a 2-player game, and it's got like this black tablecloth that's under, and there's just stuff all over the place on the board and everything, and there's just a lot of stuff that kind of goes into it. There's a lot with it. It's
Mhm.
not a huge box, but there's just a lot. It's just one of those. It's I don't know. It just kind of hits right, you know. You
Right.
talked about how some of those games hit right. This one, it was very intimidating for me to learn, but once I learned it, it just kind of worked, you know.
Yeah. That's
And this is,
pretty heavy weight.
yeah,
3.4.
this is one that I think I think you would like this one. I mean, it's kind of that style of game,
Right.
and it takes, gosh, it says 90-minute playing time. That's pretty low. I would go more 2 hours probably.
Yeah, I don't give a whole lot of stock to what they say the time is, because it's
Yeah.
like this time is done by experts of the game, and at the lowest player count, it's like, okay, like very rarely is that actually accurate.
Yeah, but then having art, right, tool around the board as well and everything too, it just kind of
Mhm.
adds to it. And the designer, he has done other stuff as well. He's
Yeah,
Ragusa, Zapotec.
he did oh yeah, I guess it was Zapotec. I thought he did a different one, but maybe I'm thinking of someone else.
Yeah, so I mean, he has some decent games out there,
Mhm.
but this one is a really solid one that you can still, find at a decent price, because it wasn't super expensive to buy this.
No, I just saw it's for like $40.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to give this one a shot. It seems like it'd be right up my alley.
Mm-hmm. For
All
sure.
right. My number 62 also rose quite a bit, actually. It was 88 last year, so rose 26 spots, and it was 49 in 2020. And this one is just I mean, here is your evergreen or modern classic, however you want to categorize them. That I just think is, I mean, it's the grandfather to all drafting games. I want to say it was the first one done, but I could totally be wrong here. Uh, I guess theoretically, Imperium isn't my favorite Civ game, just because this one is higher and it is technically a Civilization game, but in a different way. And that is Seven Wonders. This is the old, disgusting version.
This is the good
This is
cover.
the trash shit cover. God, it's basically the Miko's art. No, yeah, I have the second edition, which I think is actually I really like it. I like how it's just cleaned up in general. Need to look at the cover. It's the same cover. It's the same cover. It's just it looks cleaner. Like has it's HD version. And then the cards are just now where they don't go in a diagonal, like it just goes from top to bottom. But yeah, This is a Civilization game where you draft cards for 3 different ages. So you have a hand of cards, and you're either taking you're taking production cards, you're taking market cards, you're taking technologies or science or military, all to try and have the most points at the end of the game. Obviously, production cards allow you to utilize those resources to therefore get better and better cards. The blue cards are like, I guess maybe they're not tech, but like faith or
They're
something.
they're like the blue cards. Are you talking the blue ones?
Yeah.
They're like the buildings and so like the structures and stuff like that,
Okay.
monuments and stuff.
Yeah. And they're just pure victory points. Science is a way for you to get a ton of victory points at the end of the game. Military gives you victory points as well as knocking others down. And everyone has a wonder that they're trying to build, but that can give them, in this case, with the Rhodos, it'll give you 10 points if you get all 3, and then just gives you an inherent military strength. Although not necessary to win the game, but it is beneficial to at least try to build something of your wonder. Yeah, this one, I mean, came out in 2012, I want to say.
Yeah, I think you're right.
2010.
12. Oh, 10.
2010, yeah, a little earlier. And works at, I mean, all player counts. Like in 2nd edition won't let you play as 2. At least there's no rules for it. But so 3 to 7 works I've played, and that's one of the few where if someone were to be like, hey, we want a 7th, you want to play, I would actually jump into that and have a good time. And this kind of is the first game I played that introduced me to card drafting that I thoroughly enjoyed. Some of all the expansions are solid. The Leaders expansion gives everyone special abilities. Cities adds adds guilds. I mean, they had some guild cards, which are the purple ones that are kind of like specialized way of scoring points, but the cities added like underground, black cards that are also unique to you. It's just, I mean, you want to talk about an evergreen? Like, I'd be surprised if people just didn't have this in their collection. We already mentioned something that is similar to it, Hadara, which is like, hey, if you really like Seven Wonders, play Hadara as well. But they play different yet familiar. Yeah, this one's just better, in my opinion. So, yeah, I mean, not a whole lot to talk about with this game, honestly, just because, I mean, I'd be surprised if no one knew what it was. Seven Wonders Duel is not anywhere near my top 100, but I'm sure we'll talk about it later at some point.
Oh yeah,
Maybe.
This one is my wife's favorite game of all time. So
I mean, she has good taste. Maybe she should start recommending games to me.
we have played this game so many times over the years that
it's good.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful game. Good choice again.
Yay!
This has been a good segment.
Yeah, it really has. Really has.
So,
and my 61 is also going to be a really good game too.
Well, my next this one will be good, and you probably don't like my 61, but we'll jump into that when we get there. So, yeah. My 62 is a game I think you talked about a segment or two ago. This was the game. Well, it was 34 last year, and it was 14 the year before that. So it's fallen off, and mainly because I just haven't gotten it to the table. I'm waiting on the expansion content to show up, even though I don't know why I'm waiting for that because there's so much crap for it anyway. This was my first foray into the Blacklist games theater of games, and that is Street Masters. There is a lot out for this game right now, and more than I'll probably ever play, just because there's so many combinations and so many cards and everything out for it. And I think here in the next month to month and a half, the other stuff's finally actually going to start getting to us. So that will be interesting to see what that looks like.
I think it's just more of the same. I don't know if
it's another expansion, and then I added a couple of things that I was missing from because I didn't do the first Kickstarter, so there was some expansions that they had re-put out for that. But yeah, this one pretty much is the modular deck system that the Sadler brothers put put together where you're going to pick
The
your
Brady
fighter.
brothers.
Yeah. So you're going to have your fighter.
Oh, I see. I see. You get a really nice picture as examples. I get the close up of the hexagons.
I have no control. um, but yeah. So this one, you are going to be picking a character or two, depending on how you're going. It's double-sided, so you're going to have your basic ability, and then you can have your jacked up, powerful ability that you can get to. You're going to mix up the deck of a bad, like a boss character, and then like a location and stuff like that. You're going to get your board out. You're going to be doing these different objectives. There's even stories that you can play with. The individual characters have these stories. I really haven't done any of the stories. Have you?
No, I think it's only for solo.
Really? Oh, there you go. I haven't touched it though, but
I'm intrigued because I think it's supposed to be every character has their own like story campaign, but I'm pretty sure it's only for solo play.
Yeah, I haven't really even messed with them. I haven't played this game much lately. I need to get it back out, but the art's really cool on it. The mechanisms are pretty solid. They're very thematic on certain things. They've play tested out the characters well enough. You used this example back when we were talking about it when you did, but we were playing a 2-player game, and you were the guy that just kept tossing me weapons throughout the whole and stuff, and it was just like, here. Have this.
Right. I'm only an accessory to murder. I didn't actually kill the guy.
Right. So, this is just one of those that there's just that Armageddon box or whatever it's called is just packed.
Aftermath.
Aftermath.
I think it's Aftermath.
Yeah, you're right. But it's just packed to the gills with.
Yeah.
And even though it's not the greatest storage solution for the miniatures, the card stuff and all the tiles and everything are in there nice, and the dice and everything. This is just one of those really kick-ass games, and my favorite Blacklist game for sure.
Yep, I think it's the only Blacklist game that's on my list.
Yeah,
I can imagine Brook City is higher, which would be probably my second favorite. And it's not. So yeah, this is the only one on the list.
Yep.
All right, good choice. And finally, the last one for this segment, my number 61, is a game that you didn't show me because that would be kind of weird. We probably could have played this if we did the what is it? The ghost thing where you're just kind of behind me and you're just like using my hands to play. This is my favorite. It's a solo only game. It is my favorite solo only game. Well, I might actually just be flat out lying. Let me double check because it would probably be new. Where are you? Yes. Okay. So the only other solo game that I could think of, I've already talked about, and that is Under Falling Skies. Yeah, this game is just so fucking good. Like it's a dice worker placement game, I guess.
Dice
placement. They're workers. But I mean, essentially, you're defending a various city. Utilizing dice to do so, and it's just intense the entire time. It doesn't look like it would be intense, but man, that dice system is really neat because it's like, yeah, like you roll dice and you're kind of like, okay, like let's see what can I do here? But you have the two colored dice, you have the gray and the white, and if you place a white die, then you have to re-roll all your remaining dice. And I mean, just that simple decision where it's like, I didn't get a single thing I wanted. How can I use one of these white dice in my little lab beneficially to then hopefully allow me to re-roll and get what I want? But honestly, like, you don't feel like you ever get screwed with the dice. Every decision you make, like, because whenever you place the die, the ship in that column moves that number. So obviously a higher die value is really good for you because it's going to make the ability better, but you're really like rushing a ship down, and that is rough. That is very hard to do. This is a very tiny box, but they have so much content in it. Just like your lab board, depending on which city you get, that's going to tell you what, because the lab board is 2 halves, that's going to tell you what half is on the top and one half is on the bottom, which is going to change a lot of decisions you make. But really, you're just trying to get the research track all the way at the top, which I guess sucks for a lot of games. From what I hear, like all you do is move up on that track. Just haze people who say that. Yeah, it's so thematic. It's very difficult. They do have a campaign. The campaign is not bad. Like it has different choices because like in chapter 1, you take all the components and you just basically like, okay, which scenario are we picking? You have 2, and you put those into 2 piles. Who's gonna be with what special rules are gonna be with what, and you pick a pile. And that's going to be what you're playing for chapter 1. The other half just gets removed. So you're going to get at least a different variety for each chapter, even though it's going to be the same stuff. It's going to be a different combination.
Right.
Yeah. CG knocked it out of the park with this one. Like, because I played this and then I played Warp's Edge. And Warp's Edge is pretty good too with its bag building, but with both of them being relatively the same theme. And me absolutely hating the protagonist of Warp's Edge. I was like, yeah, I basically chose this one to get.
Yeah.
So that's my number 61.
Well, what's interesting about this is how it was created, because this was a 9-card print and play game.
That's right. Yeah.
Originally, and then CGE picked it up and fleshed it out, and they turned it into this awesome solo game. But just imagine this game, and it was just a 9-card.
I forgot about that.
It's crazy how something like that happens.
Right. Hopefully whoever well, I mean, it was kind of like My Little Scythe, like that guy who wanted to play Scythe with his daughter, and he like made his own version that Stonemaier picked up, which is something that's just really cool about the industry as a whole, is that can happen.
Right.
It's like I don't see that happening in the video game or movie industry.
Mm-mm.
It's like, yeah, I just kind of made this really short 10-minute video game. Maybe Activision will pick it up or something. It's like, yeah, no, that's not happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I got. That's my final one for this segment. That's
a good one. Well, I'm going to round out with a really solid game. You don't like it, but too bad. So it was it's been in the 60s forever. It was 68 last year, 69 the year before that, and 65 the year before that. So it's kind of just constant. You actually talked about it a little bit ago when we talked about another game in the same theme, and that is this one. We have a blast with this. My wife and I play this a lot. With this being her favorite game,
it's poop.
We Seven Wonders is, you can't play Seven Wonders 2-player well. This is how we get Seven Wonders 2-player played whenever it's just the 2 of us. And it's virtually the same game, other than they have the different. I'll just go ahead and show that. The cards are gonna come out in different formations for each age. So the first age is like a pyramid and whatever. So as you draft cards, and if it uncovers cards that are face down, then they flip over. There's that randomness of that. The one thing I like about this game, I don't know if I like it more, but what separates this game out is to me, the military track means something in this game, where in regular Seven Wonders, it doesn't as much to me, because I flat out ignore military every single time I play regular Seven Wonders. Because at the end of the day, it's 15 points. Depending on how many players. Depends on how many players.
Armada also, the expansion for that one adds sea combat, so you can lose more points that way. But yeah, that's an expansion.
This one, there's that whole tug of war, of stuff, and then what I also like about this one better than the other is the science, the way they handle science, because it's such a math problem and stuff with the science and everything. This one, you can instant win if you gain, I don't know what it is, 8 sciences, 7 of the sciences or something like that. So I like that these games don't take very long.
I think you just need 5 symbols.
Okay. Well,
the reason why I know that is because I just did a top 10 games that I'm in the minority about, and this game is on there because obviously everyone loves this game, and I don't. So I had to look up what the auto win condition was, and I'm pretty sure it's 5.
It was more than 5, but I may be totally wrong.
6. Sorry, so
Okay.
we're both wrong. 6
Okay.
of the 7 different scientific
Okay.
symbols.
So, this is one of those ones though that I enjoy this because the games don't take that long. It has those auto win deals. What makes this game really awesome though is when you add the Pantheon.
Latest expansion,
Not the latest one.
the Argo expansion.
No, the Pantheon expansion is what you need to have for this game because it
What's
adds.
it called Argo?
It's Agora.
Agora. That was close. The Argo, where you infiltrate another country as a film crew, and save some whatever.
Yeah,
anyway, keep going.
No, you're good. The Pantheon expansion just adds these god cards, and there's this whole gambling like it fixes that issue because I know one of your complaints is the whole hate drafting thing.
No, my actual complaint. Well, that's annoying. My actual
cards off.
Yeah, which I know you can do in the original. No, my actual complaint upon reflection is I hate that auto win. That's and the reason why it's twofold. It's because the auto win is kind of whatever. It's the randomness of the cards that you don't have any control over.
Right.
That's what bugs me. It's like, oh, like that 2 for, well, this is a bad example because the 2 underneath are face up. But let's say the 2 military on the left. It's like, oh, I'm going to take that because I know he's going military to kind of counteract that. And then the blue card under that is like a 3 military. It's like,
oh, I know.
Okay, and, I just wasted a turn.
I understand that too, and I've been hosed with that tons of times too. But I like the auto wins because this is one of those games that you can sit down and play multiple times because the game takes 20 to 30 minutes.
Right,
so
it's just a different. Yeah, it's and I get it. It's definitely a different gaming philosophy. I don't play board games as fillers. Like, so like if I have 20, 30 minutes, I'm not setting up a board game. That's just kind of how I game. So I totally get that, but yeah.
But the Pantheon expansion just adds that extra deal. So there's tokens that are out on that configuration of cards, and it kind of makes you want to go get those cards instead of either whether hate drafting or selling, whatever. Because when you get those tokens, it lets you kind of get a peek of what's out there in the god cards because they're all face down. So that way you can kind of know where to place it and how it's going to cost money wise. The Agora expansion I hated.
You know what's funny is that's actually ranked higher than the Pantheon one.
I can see that. I mean it just makes this game longer and more convoluted than it needs to be. Like I played this for the quickness of the game to be able to go. That just adds much. It just does something.
I'm trying to remember. The Agora one added another auto win, right?
It was the Senate board, yes, and you had you were influencing senators and this and that, and it's like I could do without that.
It's actually really funny because everyone had said play this with Pantheon, it fixes whatever. I don't think it fixed anything. If you loved this game, then it was already great. But funny enough, this expansion, the Agora one, made me like this game better.
Really,
even though it did add another. I think it's because it added a third way to automatically win that kind of bloated is like the wrong term because normally that's negative, but it made it to where you couldn't just hyper focus on something because the Senate. So it was another avenue where it wasn't just military, so it wasn't as easy for military to auto win. It wasn't as easy for science to win because the Senate board was there, and that took a lot of that off by extending the length of the game. So yeah, like. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying that play 7 Wonders at 2. You technically can't anymore if you have the second edition, but yeah, I'm in the minority on this one. I get it.
Well, and then they flipped ahead on the actual Wonders because I think there's 8 Wonders that you have when you draft the Wonders at the beginning, and only 7 of them can be built. So there's kind of
that's right.
Yeah. So there's just a little bit of different variation. I like the original 7 Wonders better. We'll see it later for sure. But this one's a good way to play it, 2-player, a quick game of it that just easy to set
Yeah.
up, easy to go.
Yep, for sure. All right. Well, I'd say overall, like out of these 20, 19 of them were good. I'll give you Seven Wonders Duel, even though I don't like it. Run Fight or Die is just bad. But that's it, everyone. That's it for this segment. Hope you enjoyed. Let us know what you think of these games in the comments below. Stick around for the rest of the top 100, and like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.
Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.